It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday matinee to you, both gentlemen. Rob, Ocean.
Hello.
Good morning.
Outstanding to see you both. You're so handsome.
Well, thank you. This is my freshly rolled out of bed, done the crust out of my eyes milk. So if I'm looking good now, that means I can do it and put effort in.
I got to tell you,
a lot of headroom to go there.
Exactly.
I'm a little full, though. I've been enjoying my Baby Yoda leftover sandwiches all week.
Look at you.
It's Grogu. His name is Grogu.
It'll always be Baby Yoda. Is this the first thing we're going to fight about today?
His name is Grogu. They've given him a name. Okay, they are not all the same. Okay, it's just being very specious.
I just want to come in.
He's the one who pulled a Holocaust by eating the young of a dying race.
Look, you know what? Some mammals eat other mammals, right? That's what happens. But
it's true.
Grogu's hungry. Grogu has to eat.
He's not eating them. He's not eating them. We all know that.
Well, he's down in the hole.
He's protecting them.
He's protecting them in his stomach?
Yes. No, he's not. No, I mean, have you heard about this? Oh, okay. First of all, let me go back. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail this. I had this ready.
Wait a minute. You got to let me introduce this segment. I know you guys are excited, but it all comes from listener feedback. And that listener happens to be one of our own, Kyle Olson, who wrote me and said, I was screaming at my phone, stop asking Star Wars nerd lore to the people who aren't the hardest core Star Wars nerds.
Oh.
Please let us talk about this. And that's why we're going to talk about this right now.
Okay, first of all, I am still scarred from last week's episode because when you guys went into the conversation about what part of Baby Yoda do you eat first, that's a problem. So I still have issues with this.
Slice off the wee ear.
And first of all, you know that there are delicious plump legs hidden under that cloak. So you're going for the legs first.
Why would you set it up like that if you don't want people to think about eating Baby Yoda?
A disaster.
Yeah. I was thinking eat the hands first, kind of like an appetizer, and then make your way into the meatier portions.
So there's just a lot that's going on in The Mandalorian right now, and people are it's just blowing up. And now we're some time out. And so, if you haven't heard, turn it off, skip this chapter, move forward if you don't want to know about anything related to last week. How did it all land? We've got fan favorite, amazing stuff going on right now on the show. What do you think?
I found that I came to this a little bit backwards from some Star Wars fans in that, I've seen all the movies and I was all in on The Mandalorian, but I hadn't watched much of Clone Wars or Rebels beforehand, right? And so when I started a little bit once Bo-Katan showed up. And so I started watching. So once I saw Bo-Katan, it was Katie Sackhoff, who I love from Battlestar Galactica. So therefore I would love her in anything she does ever. And so I started watching Clone Wars. So I watched, some Clone Wars to catch up on my Bo-Katan. So I understood what was going on there. And then once Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano. Yes, Ahsoka Tano. I always
all of this is staying in.
Mispronounce her name.
Yeah.
When she came on, I then binged the entire in a day. I binged the whole last season of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, so I could catch up on all of her lore. And I am now working my way through Rebels.
Do you agree that the final season of Clone Wars is some of the best Star Wars that has ever been? That is the opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, it is. And honestly, I'm sitting here wondering if we're going to start having the Star Wars, Star Trek argument, because now that you're really with The Mandalorian, and now that I've seen what the Clone Wars is and what Rebels is, it's like, well, does this property make more sense as a television show? These television shows are amazing.
They're amazing.
What they're amazing. And then what The Mandalorian is doing, I mean, not only the casting of Rosario Dawson, but, how great it was when she, she comes out in the beginning and she's doing the double lightsaber fighting with the guys and everything, and, sneaking around and using the Force to move trees around. I mean, I found myself far too giddy, like more giddy than an adult man should ever be when watching something, kind of like almost unconsciously giggling about how amazing the whole thing.
Look at Rob over there. I don't know, man. Oh, an adult male can get pretty giddy.
I was going to say I giggle regularly on like a daily basis. So, I mean, And I'm okay with that. No, it was amazing. Look, I know where people weren't sure. The one thing I think that was really great about this, and Ocean, I'm kind of with you. Like, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in Clone Wars and Rebels. I went back and have watched, when people talk about big things, I would go back and watch segments. And now with Disney Plus over the last year, I've been kind of nitpicking like what I wanted to see. But I got to say, like, one of the things that I think really they definitely showed a fantastic decision was Rosario Dawson in the casting. And I know that there was some really issues with, well, shouldn't they have brought in the person who was the voice actress?
No.
Right? Oh, no. And here's the deal. Once you've seen this, as opposed to Katie Sackhoff, who they did, right? Like, I mean, they did bring in the voice actress for that. Rosario Dawson just nails this character in a way. It's really one of the best performances. I mean, seriously, I would put this tied with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, where you just look at it and you see the whole thing and you go, yeah, that's literally perfect.
Yeah. I can definitely agree and see that. I think similarly with Bo-Katan, although I think you get it's easier there since it was Katie Sackhoff in the show, and also if you look at Bo-Katan, the animated version looks a bit like what Katie Sackhoff would look like. So that part worked. But yeah, I was very impressed with not only her performance but also the story, the way they dragged that episode out. Like, a lot of people may have not noticed that the episode, The Jedi, it was 47 minutes, and they're clocking in about 30 or 31. And so it allowed it to, the relationship and everything to breathe, right? The relationship with Ahsoka with Grogu at the beginning when they're sitting there, it's amazing. You're sitting there for about a minute watching the Mandalorian pace back and forth, and they're just sitting there nodding at each other, and you're still on the edge of your seat riveted because you're like, well, I want to know what's going to happen now. What are they talking about?
Well, and until you turn into a man baby, and I'll admit this, when she says Yoda's name and John Williams' theme starts to play, that was spectacular. It's amazing what they're doing.
Both of you seem to react with the idea of not bringing Ashley Eckstein on. I just loved Rosario Dawson, but why do people not want Ashley Eckstein on? She's served the character for a long time.
Oh, no, there was controversy when they first announced this, or were alluding to this, that why don't you bring her? I think now when you see it, knowing what she looks like, I mean, just in terms of stature, I don't think it plays. The character doesn't have then the same physical presence, and that's just that's just part of being an actor and filling a certain role.
Well, and they've aged her. I think they've aged the character in the animated seasons too far, like beyond what Ashley could play, I think.
Well, there's some of that. And then also I think the other part, which, you can't ignore in current times, is when you see Ashley, I mean, she's white. She's white, and she's a pale white, right? So then, if you put her in that makeup, it's like, well, it's not blackface, but how close are we? Right?
Well, no, wait, I don't know if the orange, now wait,
it's orange face.
A new line of things.
Hey, it gets to be one of those things where you're like, wait a minute, I got a perfectly tan Rosario Dawson right here. Right? Like, because it looked, because even when you see Rosario come out, it looks like you really think that the makeup on her is the white painting. Right. Yeah. And listen to her while you realize, she's a little bit darker, but only a little bit. She's about that same color anyway. So therefore, you don't have any of that other stuff. If you took a white actress and put them in that, I especially now, and especially these days with the various reactions that people are getting about this type of stuff, about blackface and everything throughout time. But then even right now today, it's like, no, you have perfectly good actors, known actors who would be able to do that role and not look like, and not basically taking a white person and darkening them for the role. And so I think that would have been a real consideration. I'm not saying it's the first consideration, but I guarantee you it was on the list.
The way they left this episode, the end of Jedi, it made me feel bereft a little bit as Mandalorian kind of pulls away and she's left in the woods. And I'm worried that we're not going to see her again, that this was her big episode. And now we just have to wonder, when do we get live action Ahsoka Tano again?
No, she's coming back.
You think?
Well,
I haven't checked the credits, honestly. I don't know who's credited.
Because Filoni, you heard about Filoni kind of really teased that maybe that final scene in the final episode of Rebels maybe we don't understand the timeline here. Because the theory was that the ending scene of Rebels, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I've already moved on.
Yeah, you've already moved. But Rebels, it ends with kind of looking in the future after Return of the Jedi, that she teams up with Sabrine Wren to then go find what's his name? Can't believe I forgot this. Ezra. Okay.
Yes.
And the theory was that scene. This episode we just watched, The Mandalorian, that this takes place after that scene. Dave Filoni was basically like, no, maybe not.
Right.
Oh.
They were playing with the timing of when everything, when all this stuff happens. And so, I think they're going to have that. I mean, once she says at the end, where's Admiral Thrawn? Right. I mean, that's going to...
No, there's that story.
There's going to be something else.
There's
right?
the Ezra
It may not
story.
be till season 3.
Right.
But there's going to be more of this.
Well, and I mean, look at, and here's the deal. I think what they're doing in a spectacular way, I mean, they're setting up seasons 3, 4, and 5 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
This is going to be around for a while.
Frankly, I could use a whole live action series called The Jedi, starring Ahsoka Tano, with the white sabers and everything. Yeah. I'm all in for that. Yeah. You hear me, Disney? I'll keep my subscription for you if you do that for me.
Oh. Look, Disney's doing great. One of the things that you've seen about this is The Mandalorian is so popular. It's the most popular thing in surveys now. And then the next number 2 is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Netflix.
Queen's Gambit on Netflix is huge.
Exactly, which this has created a bunch of instances in Clone Wars and Rebels. And I find myself in that same boat where I've had Disney Plus for a while. I've seen Clone Wars and Rebels there. I didn't watch any of it. But then the second I see Rosario Dawson with 2 lightsabers, I'm like, well, I need to watch all of this.
I am a grown man watching cartoons.
Exactly. I am. Yeah. No, my kids are looking at me like, what, are you watching this cartoon?
Watching cartoons?
I was like, yes, I am. Get out.
Get out, child. You are uninvited.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is grown folk TV right here.
Okay, wait, here's the question. So here's the big tease then. So who is the Jedi that saved Grogu? What's your guys' prediction?
Oh, you mean that saved them that brought him out of the temple?
Who got him out of the temple?
Well, I always took that as he was kidnapped from the temple, like that the Jedis took him, because when the Mandalorian gets him, he's not with Jedis. He's right. I'm trying to remember who he's with at that point. But I was always in the impression that that's what happened.
Well, no, they got to fill that in. But she's talking when she's telling him, when Ahsoka is telling him this, she's basically saying he was there at training during the time of Episode 3, and some Jedi saved him from the slaughter.
Oh,
so the tease is, who's the Jedi that saved him? And that's when they answer that question, that I think is going to be amazing, because I think what they're trying to say is everyone's thinking, well, not everybody, but there's a significant theory out there. And okay, if you haven't heard this one, prepare to have your mind blown. The theory is that it's Mace Windu.
Mace Windu,
but he was dead.
Was he?
Yeah, he
got blown out of.
He got blown out the window. He's got his arm cut off. But is he dead?
But maybe I know somebody else who got his arm cut off and thrown down a
exactly. Vent. And the idea is that maybe he's. I mean, okay, can you imagine if they actually find? Well, here's my point. Can you imagine if they find a way to bring Samuel L. Jackson into this? Good Lord.
I don't know that they can have him on Disney Plus.
He's going to have his other show. They're just going to bring him. They're going to bring him to the next room over.
I can't wait.
He's doing his Nick Fury series anyway. It's going to be amazing.
Right. I'll take it. I'll take every bit of it.
Yeah, I had not heard that theory that it would be Mace Windu. I would be surprised by that, because he was supposed to be dead,
but he's not.
I guess you're right. If Darth Maul can live from being cut in half, I guess Mace Windu can survive getting his arm cut off and thrown out a window.
And by the way, think about this. Let's go 4 steps ahead. You have bring Mace Windu back. Who else did you just reintroduce in this series? Oh, who? Boba Fett? The person who Mace Windu killed his father? Oh, that would be an interesting encounter.
Well, but I think Boba Fett, we all sort of knew before Mace Windu that Boba Fett was around, right? That's settled science.
And I think they showed him at the end of episode 1.
Oh yeah. No, he's in it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it would just there's a really great story coming.
There's a great story.
There is. And honestly, they have all this great material, and they still haven't gotten back around to, you have Boba Fett just sitting in the wings. Because, let's face it, the initial impetus of this, the initial popularity, I would argue, of this was Boba Fett. right? Even though he's not Boba Fett, he's walking around dressed like Boba Fett. So a lot of your initial viewing is because, I love Boba Fett and want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
So now what this show is brilliantly done is giving us 2 seasons of story that have nothing to do with Boba Fett that we're excited about.
Oh, yeah.
That they can even push pause on this and be like, you know what season 3 is? It's the Fett. And you wouldn't even be mad. You'd be like, hey, I can wait till season 4 because I'm getting a full season of Boba Fett. So yeah, they have a lot to work with here.
If you add all that and all the MCU that's coming, you would think that there is no streaming service that could top Disney Plus.
Are you suggesting possibly that there is?
Yeah. And it doesn't end in plus.
I can't wait for this segue. Go ahead.
So, okay. So the breaking story, as we're waking up, of course, at the time of recording, Warner Brothers has announced that all of their theatrical releases in 2021 are day and date coming out on HBO Max.
I'll take that. I'll take that too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But what are you most excited about of the catalog? And we just got to review some of the catalog because it's a big slate. And I just want to know, are you more or less excited about any title other than Space Jam: A New Legacy?
Oh, Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry.
Really?
No.
You've already told me you're a grown man who giggles, so I put nothing past you, Rob.
Oh. Whenever they would use Tchaikovsky's, I forget what adagio, that in Tom and Jerry, I always still love those episodes. By the way, any of you who are classical music fans know that I just pulled that out of the air because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
So this news is huge in that. What am I looking forward to? The Suicide Squad.
Okay. I'm sort of surprised you didn't say Dune.
Oh, Dune. And, well, no, actually, for me, Suicide Squad over Dune.
Is it really?
Yeah, Dune number 2.
I'm all Dune.
Yeah, no, I'm oddly with the list most excited about Judas and the Black Messiah. I think that's just the most interesting movie for me personally. But I think that The Matrix 4, I want to believe they can redeem themselves because 2 had the greatest 20-minute action sequence ever put to film. It was surrounded by a movie that was meh, and 3 was you started questioning why you're here, right? And so, but The Matrix, I found that when I saw The Matrix on this list, it was the main movie that I looked at that I thought, I really would want to see The Matrix in the theater. Mm-hmm. Right. Like a lot of these other ones, I do, small screen, big screen. I think that, you can maybe you can create a similar experience. That one I'd want to see in theater. So I'm kind of optimistically hoping that, theaters are going to be open by the time The Matrix 4 is released. So I can go see it in theaters, and get that full experience. And then when I want to watch it 10 more times, I can do it at home on HBO Max.
I wonder if they're doing this, if they're doing that bit where they release on HBO Max for the opening window for 90 days, whatever, you can get it like they're doing with Wonder Woman, and then it goes away.
It's 30. They've actually, that was part of the announcement. Yeah, it got clarified later in the day. Okay. It's 30 days. So it'll be on 30 days there, and then it'll go away.
Then it goes away, and it goes into the regular release cycle for streaming services and
correct
Blu-rays and things like that.
So then that implies there's a 2-month break.
Yeah,
effectively. So it's on for 30 days. Then it's like a 1 or 2 month break where you don't see it on anything.
Well, it's in the theater, but then that's how they're keeping the theater owners happy. And to be honest, I'm surprised it's 30 days because in that world, I would have expected it to have been like 14.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. I think I actually think it's quite brilliant. And and what a power move for them to say this all at once. The whole slate, we're done messing around. We're not messing around anymore. Here we go.
Well, because I think there's a reality that hit everybody about really truthfully, what does 2021 look like? And it looks more like 2020.
It's December 2020, and the country map is more red in terms of cases and hospitalizations than it was in March when they all closed the first time. Yeah. Why would we even be having this dalliance with opening entertainment complexes more broadly?
Exactly.
In the foreseeable future.
Now, do you find, and just one last thing I just want to note is I think that's funny about this is of all the services I subscribe to, and this is only for AT&T subscribers that this matters, HBO Max is the only one I don't pay for. Isn't that ridiculous?
Because you get it with AT&T?
I get it with my AT&T, our cell phone, our family
plan.
The
new family plan.
And it blows me away because we're going to talk more about, I'm going to talk about it in trailers. It is right now, other than The Mandalorian, and there's one show on CBS that I will also say is also amazing too. I watch HBO Max almost more than anything else.
Really?
they just have an incredible set of stuff. I mean, and they
have an incredible thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's going to be amazing. And Warner Brothers all in. This is going to be huge. It will be interesting to see what in 2022 and beyond, what impact this finally does have on the theater industry.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see.
Truly. We've got a couple of, speaking of, let's see, since you didn't truly name drop Netflix, I'm going to say Netflix, Queen's Gambit is as good as they say. It is great dramatic television. It's not really about chess. There's a lot of chess in it, but it's an addiction story, and you need to wrap your heads around that, because this Anya Taylor-Joy just puts herself through the ringer, and it's in some cases quite difficult to watch, but it's exceptional television. And we also have some Umbrella Academy news, speaking of Netflix. I don't know why this is huge news, but it's been made pretty big news that Ellen Page has announced that he is gender non-binary transgender person as of this week.
Going by Elliot.
Yep. And they will not be changing the character at all in any way on the Umbrella Academy. But he is, has released that message, and another great reason to support a great actor. And I can't wait to see the Umbrella Academy next season, because it's amazing.
I do see though why you would have to announce that. Not only once Elliot Page came out as transgender, you would have to follow up with an announcement of what you're going to do with the character. Are you going to acknowledge that in the character, or leave Vanya a sister? Because Vanya is definitely sister, female character. So do you leave her that way, or do you then recognize that in the actor and then change the character? And
they've already done that. I mean, the White Violin is a hyper-sexualized comic character in the source material in the graphic novels, and so they've already made that transition in the story, that Vanya is playing a character that is closer to gender non-binary, and it always just read to me like of the time. Like, this is a character who contains multitudes, and we're just going to watch a great story. And kind of glad that they modernized Elliot Page, or they modernized Vanya sort of 2 seasons ago for the world in which we live, and that's great. And also, and this may sound, I don't know. You tell me how it sounds. I am unmoved either way, apart from sending thoughts of support to Elliot Page, because undoubtedly this will be challenging. But so far, Ellen Page gave some fantastic performances in the last 2 seasons, and is an actor that I really like watching. And this changes little, shows depth and breadth. Can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely. Completely agreed. It's called acting for a reason.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, sure. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the news from that last one. Maybe the last one. Can we just talk about the Oscars 2021?
Oh, jeez.
God, you guys.
Yes. And this one where the Oscars have decided that they are going to adamantly still have their show, which is currently scheduled in April, to be in person. So, which is baffling.
But will it?
Not only baffling in terms of how you're going to pull it off, but why?
Will it though? I mean, I'm channeling Kyle when I say that. Will it though?
Will it though? Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest problem of this whole disaster of a PR release, that they have committed right now, knowing nothing about what's going to happen next year. Everything that we're told is be patient. Vaccines are not coming tomorrow. Everything we're told is that these are dark days. The news today was, if you believe that if you were at a Thanksgiving celebration in this country with somebody that was not in your immediate family or bubble, plan as if you already have the disease. That's the kind of thing we're dealing with. And the Oscars would choose today to release that news. It puts a machine in motion that is extraordinarily expensive, that will end up having to be broken, a promise that will ultimately have to be broken. I don't know. I'm dubious.
So wait, so when I read it, I went, well, so what was the point of this? Like, seriously, why would you do this?
I didn't understand it either, and I think that and honestly, it's dangerous in a couple ways. Where not only is it going to be, I agree that it's probably not going to happen, but two, it then creates the possibility of that you've drawn a line in the sand of like this Oscars event is such a big deal and it's so important that it has to be in person. And that's what we need to do with it. That when it doesn't happen, it then starts turning to, well, people might start questioning, well, what am I watching? Like, why is it on television? Like, why is it on primetime TV? Maybe it should just be on cable somewhere that I, then get on a tape delay or something like that. Like, does this show, they're pretending like it's the show that really, really matters. And it is important to the actors to receive these awards. And, it is a recognition of what I like to say is a massive recognition of movies that nobody watches. But at the same time, it's like by doing this and drawing this line in the sand, you do make it where it's like, people may start to question, well, is the show important? Does it even really need to happen? Right. And then you're kind of spiraling down to where in 2022, when it's more realistic that they could then do this again, by then will people be like, kind of like the host. Nobody cares if there's a host anymore. And then therefore people may no longer care if there's even a show.
I am already on the record as being an Oscars antagonist. I watch them because of the show that we do, but I think they're ridiculous. But it's even more disappointing that the Hollywood Foreign Press is running the Golden Globes, apparently in person. If I were Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, I would say, you are irresponsible. We're not hosting your event.
Right.
Sorry, Rob.
No. Well, first of all, wait, don't you want to go back to when they did the Best Acting awards where the person would talk about, the 5 people would talk about the 5 nominees? You don't want to go back to that? No, I'm kidding. Jesus. Okay. You know what this, and here's where I'm going with this, is like when you say like, what's the creative or what's the marketing aspect of making this announcement? I really wonder, the cynical side of me says, I wonder if they have to say this because there are some contracts or insurance riders that for them to get their full refunds, they have to say this.
Yeah, there's probably something to that. Probably something to that. Yeah. There will be some sort of remuneration on the other side. And maybe that's the most disappointing lesson of this whole thing. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right. That's a worse reason than what I already had in my head.
Yeah, so, that was already, you've already taken us to the 6th circle at least. Let's do trailers.
Yes.
Okay, let's.
It's Ocean who was the most prepared.
Yes, I am first. So, okay. So the movie trailer that I picked is a fictional account of One Incredible Night, February the 25th, 1964, where icons Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke gather to discuss their roles in the civil rights movement and cultural upheaval of the 1960s. And the name of the movie is One Night in Miami.
You brothers, you could move mountains without lifting a finger.
Minister Malcolm X.
Good news, the chariot is coming. Who's the greatest? That's right.
Jim Brown takes the ball.
Your record is going to stand the test of time.
All together, yeah. The entire city of Miami is celebrating. I'm the new heavyweight champion of the world, and I don't even have a scratch on my face. Oh, my goodness.
Cash?
Why am I so pretty?
Hey, congratulations, champ.
I could get used to that.
I was made in America, land of the free, home of the brave.
This movement that we are in is called a struggle.
Because we are fighting for our lives.
Welcome to America.
This ain't about civil rights.
Welcome to America.
They ain't giving black people what they really want.
What's that?
Hey, I was made in America. That's why I'm out here saving America.
Power.
Black power. I like the sound of that.
I wish I lived in America.
We have to be there for each other.
Heard everybody rich. All I gotta do is run, jump, kick. I'm a hit in your area. I done made it to America. I'm amazed at America. Welcome to America.
The trailer in the movie looks great and amazing. I do like the idea, not only of the story, where it's one of those things of where I like the idea of the story. I love that it is a true story. They actually did get together. This was the night that Cassius Clay at the time beat Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship of the world. He did stay in the hotel with Malcolm X because he could not, and they were being protected by the Fruit of Islam. They had to stay over there because as a black man, Muhammad Ali couldn't stay in the area of Miami where the fight took place, where, you know, normally boxers and everything that fought there would stay. And so, but the movie looks interesting, not only in that it's gathered around a conversation of, you know, four men who, three of the four men who became really civil rights icons of their time. And this conversation is taking place really kind of before they all, you know, morph into that role. I mean, Malcolm X really already is, but but Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali really are in the beginning of that part of their life, where they become much more important issues in terms of social justice and civil rights than just as athletes. And so I think that so I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Not only, you know, how they're going to, what their dramatic license is with the conversation they're having, especially given that we're looking at this conversation, you know, 60 years, from a lens of 60 years in the future, what we think that conversation would be. But then also, like, you know, not only with the actors, how they portray that, and then also how they're going to structure the movie in terms of all the flashbacks. So what did you guys think of it?
Oh, I thought it looked great. As I was watching the trailer, though, and I mean this, and I really, honestly, I said to myself, someone at the table planning this had to say, let's call it $1 Billion Quartet. Just for the heck of it. And I mean that good, because the guy who's playing Muhammad Ali, you fall in love during the course of this trailer.
Oh, yeah. Muhammad Ali is Eli Gorman.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. Sold just on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of things that are going on here that make me really, really happy. First of all, Regina King's directorial debut. She is a power hitter, and this just looks like I'm just thinking the first of many incredible pictures that she's going to direct. Like, she just, every time I see her interviewed, every time I read about her, she's just incredibly talented and brilliant filmmaker, whether she's in front of the camera or now behind. So I'm very excited about that. I think Kemp Powers, we need to talk about Kemp Powers for just a couple of reasons. First of all, he's a writer on Soul, the upcoming Pixar movie. And you guys, Star Trek Discovery staff writer. Not a lot wrong with Kemp Powers and the stuff that he is pulling off. But mostly I fell in love with Aldous Hodge on Leverage. Remember that show, Leverage?
Wow.
Back in 2008.
You're going back away then. Yes.
Alec Hardison. Yeah. Oh, man, I watched every single damn episode of that show. He was so funny. And it's who I am. It's what it is. I just like Aldous Hodge. It's whatever. But he's great, and he was great in everything. And I just love that this movie gives him something, hopefully, to really sink his teeth into in the role of Jim Brown. So it looks great.
And I love that there's another good role for Leslie Odom Jr. to stretch out some of his acting chops. And, you know, if you don't know who that is, he was he was the wonderful Aaron Burr in Alexander Hamilton. And so that I like not only that they gave it to him so he could stretch out his acting chops, but hey, you picked the guy that he can actually sing the songs.
Oh, right? He sounds so good. Any scene where they're doing the Sam Cooke songs, like, well, he's probably actually singing that right there. So yeah, so it looks great, and I'm glad they did make an adaptation of this of the play, and that I like that. I'm very curious or interested in this time in history and these type of things, because a lot of times we know about the broad strokes and big pieces of what happened in the 60s. But it's always good to have these, smaller stories that are focused, but also important. We didn't even say Lance Reddick is in here.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
Lance Reddick is so good. Obviously, he's a hotel manager in John Wick. But I remember him mostly from what is it that I remember him from? He was The Wire. Yeah, he was
The Wire. Yes, the sergeant. The Wire. Yeah,
yeah. He's so good. So good.
Great.
All right. That's good. Rob, you're next.
All right.
What do you got?
So I got, so 2 reasons how I got here. One is, my love for HBO Max right now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a shill for HBO Max. I'm just saying I have definitely enjoyed it, especially, and I'm looking forward to 2021. But there has been a documentary, and HBO, legendary for their documentary making. They just knock them out of the park. And I was mesmerized for like the last 4 months. I've been watching The Vow, which is it's a 9-part documentary series about NXIVM, which was that crazy sex cult that.
Oh yeah, with the Superman kids,
Allison Mack, and just
Allison Mack, sure.
It's insane. And they're going to do a season 2 where, because this was just in the news back in September, the guy who was the leader of this cult, he got finally put in jail. He's now going to be a part of season 2. They're going to do interviews from jail. It's crazy. HBO just does an amazing thing. They just dropped this past week, and the trailer dropped for this, Heaven's Gate: The Cult of Cults.
Now, the end of the age, I'm afraid I feel is right upon us.
This is the biggest cult story in the country.
This was a voluntary situation. They may or may not have been influenced, but we'll never know that. But at this point, this is considered a mass suicide investigation.
Tiendo gave us the tools to brainwash ourselves. Literally wash out our humanness from our brains.
The basic idea of Heaven's Gate was that you would chemically and biologically transform your body, becoming a next level alien, and then you would physically get on board the UFO, which would sail off into heaven.
It says Heaven's Gate away team.
39 to beam up.
If you're young and you don't know what this is about, in 1997, there was a cult in Southern California that it was a UFO-based religious cult. Long story short, they committed mass suicide. 39 of their members, including their leader, killed themselves in a house in San Diego. In the mid-90s, you knew about this because it was insane. And it involved the Hale-Bopp comet that we all remember that was in the sky during this time. I mean, it was just crazy. I already kind of tuned into the first 10 minutes of the first episode. I'm going to run through the whole series this weekend. It's only 4 episodes. It looks amazing. And one of the things that I think are really great about this and The Vow is that it's not just about the aftermath of what a cult does, right? Like what's all the bad stuff and everything. They really go into the how and why and what happened, which I think is so important because the world is dealing with cults all the time. You might be familiar with that in the news. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
what?
So it's important for us to all learn about what makes us tick. And I would encourage to check it out.
Yeah, crazy that it just is. It's bananas. Sorry, so opening another tab, and I can't type and talk at the same time. Right? No, I'm so ready. This is one of those things. It's close to us because the first disappearance was in '75 from Oregon, and it's just kind of a West Coast thing. Yeah. It's a West Coast cultist jam. This is one of you're totally right about HBO. They just crush stuff like this, and the team behind it looks exceptional. I think it's going to be just not a lot of fun. To watch, but certainly illuminating.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. I am. I do remember when this happened, and it was news everywhere. About them all, committing suicide together in the house. So that part was interesting to me. I was not at the time that they didn't grab my attention to learn more about Heaven's Gate, but this documentary looks great. HBO always does a great job with documentaries, and so it does look very interesting to not only understand. I think they're going to do 2 parts of it that look good to me. Is A, you're going to delve a bit into some of the membership to help hopefully understand some of them, but why? Right? Because that's usually always a question you have is like, well, what is it that gets people into this? Why were they believers? Why did they then follow this man? And so I think that part looks interesting. And then secondly, the one thing they're doing from the trailer is they really are showing that, you look at him like he's kind of crazy, but you're looking at him like he's crazy kind of in hindsight. There is a charisma about this leader, right? And so they're really kind of showing you, hey, he was a charismatic speaker. He had a charismatic message, like people could relate to it. And it's like, if you, in that they're showing kind of in that light and not in the, like he's some crazy psychopathic killer that was just had a whole plot to kill a bunch of people, and how could you follow him because he's insane? It's like, no, he's not insane. He's charismatic. He is interesting. He has interesting things to say that you can relate to, in certain ways. And so I think that it looks even-handed and entertaining in that. So I think I'll definitely be checking it out.
Even-handed and entertaining.
It's tough to do with cults because a lot of times with cults, it's like you need to make the leader insane. right? Like, because let's face it, all the cult stuff, they're always going for Charles Manson. You gotta make him Charles Manson, so he's crazy. Well, with Charles Manson, you're like, I don't know what you people were thinking following him, right? So, but it's like, there are these other ones where it's like, no, they have some charisma to them, right? So you can see, you can then understand, hey, you know what? Some people may hear these messages and think, yes, that is for me. I sign up with it. I believe that, and then I want more.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to it. When is it? Did we say when the other one came out? When did these come out?
This is already out. They already released it. It came out December 3rd.
Right. It's already, we can do it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's a December thing.
This, so mine, and you're right. I did not. So the One Night in Miami, it officially releases on Amazon Prime on January the 15th. It's a Friday of Martin Luther King weekend, so you can have something to do then. Nice. And if you want a slight teaser for it ahead of time, which I think might have been the inspiration for the play, there is a scene, you can watch the old Will Smith movie, Ali, and there is a scene after he beats Sonny Liston of these four gentlemen in that hotel room together hanging out.
That's amazing. I did not remember that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you might know the answer to, if you wanted to buy a Sam Cooke album, where would you go?
To the record store.
Yeah, you would, Ocean Murph. Yeah, you would. Okay, just making sure we were still on the same page. All right.
Yep.
I got a movie. Can I talk about my movie?
Yeah. Can you pronounce it? I couldn't pronounce it. I had to look it up.
Well, it's the Mauritanian.
If you stray outside the designated areas, you will be removed from the island. It's recommended you wear a hijab when visiting your client. We've had incidents of inmates spitting at female lawyers.
You want to represent the head recruiter for 9/11.
Mohamedou Ould Slahi, the Mauritanian held in Guantanamo. He recruited the guys who flew your friend's plane into the South Tower.
He put those men on my husband's plane?
I'm gonna make him pay.
In the event the detainee lunges for you, push back away from the table. We'll get in there as quick as we can.
Nancy Hollander, this is my associate. We wish to represent you.
We are seeking the death penalty, but if we miss something, this guy goes home. Let's get to it.
Call this number. Speak to my mother. Tell her, I don't know, something nice.
The U.S. government is holding upwards of 700 prisoners in Guantanamo. Since when did we start locking people up without a trial in this country?
That's a lot of case files.
The prosecution won't show us the evidence they have against you. It's all redacted.
You got a problem, take it up with the government.
All my time here, I've been told you are guilty. Not for something that I have done, but because of suspicions and associations. I am innocent.
He has been interrogated. He has been held against his will for 6 years without a single charge being laid against him.
Doesn't it bother you at all working for someone like this?
I'm not just defending him. I'm defending the rule of law.
You haven't seen what I've seen.
This is a detainee in the U.S. military's Guantanamo Bay Detention Center is held without charges for over a decade and seeks help from a defense attorney for his release. And this movie, it's got Benedict Cumberbatch is in it as the American military JAG person, Judge Advocate General. We have Shailene Woodley and Jodie Foster in it as the wide-eyed defense counsel. We have Tahar Rahim as Mohamedou Ould Slahi. And it looks like an amazing cast. It telling a story that I think it's going to be interesting because there are names associated with 9/11 that are standout names to me. And there are stories of a large number of co-conspirators that were all just a part of it that I don't know anything specific about, right? I can sort of wend my way through the narrative of 9/11, but now it's been long enough. It's become big enough in my head that I'm not keeping up with the playing cards. You know what I mean? If you get the reference, I'm not keeping up with the reference.
They're not all in the deck anymore.
They're not all in the deck anymore. That is fair. Here we have people who are arguably at the top of their game, playing roles that are sobering and serious, and it comes from a director who has done some things that I am a huge fan of, right? This is Kevin MacDonald. He did Touching the Void, which was an exceptional film. He won his Academy Award for One Day in September, and Best Documentary Film at the BAFTA for Marley. But the movie that I know him best for is Last King of Scotland. I am a massive fan of Last King of Scotland. I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. I think Kevin MacDonald has a fair and even hand as a director, and it makes me more curious. The reason I bring this up, and the only thing that has me at all looking at this movie side-eyed, is Benedict Cumberbatch, who I love, playing the gravelly American voice. Can he sustain that for 2 hours? Can he sustain American military personnel for 2 hours? I don't know. He'll always be Sherlock to me. This is equivalent of calling him Grogu after I've gotten to know him as Cumberbatch.
First off, Grogu's amazing. Second, this trailer took me. I felt through a little bit of a roller coaster of a ride. That's what I think of it. In that, at the very beginning, so when Jodie Foster is coming in, you figure out that they're going to defend someone from Guantanamo who's clearly, from all the dialogue in the first minute is he's clearly guilty. He recruited people to 9/11. He did these horrible things, and Jodie Foster is just going to defend him. And so I'm thinking, wow, how are you going to make a movie and try to make this horrible character someone who's sympathetic? Right? Because it's like, well, he obviously did it. He's a horrible person. And then you're just kind of, what is it we're trying to do here? Then it pivoted a bit, and it got to where it was like, hey, they're trying to say that this is really more a procedural about rule of law, which, you're going to have me at those. I love anything where they're getting the technical parts of law and how it apply. In this case, internationally, questioning why Guantanamo even existed, why it was there, why it was where it was, as opposed to somewhere in the United States, and all that stuff. I love all that. So they go into there. And then they come around, and then near the end of the trailer, you start getting, he's becoming more of a sympathetic character. And you're seeing that you have a well-rounded story of really a story of two sides, right? There's the side of me at the first half of the trailer, which is like, he's guilty, lock him up, throw away the key, call it good, right? And then the second half of the trailer is like, well, is he a victim? Was he really there? Was he just, is he a victim of circumstance? Was he just, abused by the police? Was he, just grabbed because of his ethnicity or his religion? What is it? So I find that you had that kind of a roller coaster theme throughout the trailer, which made me really want to see the movie even more, because then it's like, well, if the trailer gave me this effect, then the movie's going to give me the same thing. And the last thing the trailer gave me, which I gave you, is that I love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I've always felt that he can do just about anything as an actor. And it turns out that's not true. He cannot do a Southern accent. And so there is going to be 2 hours of me watching Benedict Cumberbatch deliver great lines and dialogue, and the acting is going to be amazing, and his voice is just going to be 100% off.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we've got one vote in my corner questioning the Cumberbatch. What do you think, Rob?
Oh, no, that's unanimous. Oh, wow, that was
good. All right, we're running the table.
So here's the thing. No, I agree with everything, and I'm very interested in this. What got me was, and what certainly made me disregard Benedict Cumberbatch, Jodie Foster looks stunning in silver hair.
Can I just say, that's not what I thought you were going to say. What I thought you were going to say was, as Jodie Foster ages, she is becoming one with Sybil Shepherd.
Oh, you are.
Good point.
Oh, no, right now, if you're listening, you have to pause and you have to go watch this trailer, because you got to see what we're talking about. Oh my, that's what it is. Because I kept thinking to myself, she kind of looks like a really old Peggy Carter, but I'm not really sure. Why does this look so familiar? Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So,
yeah, you can now plot a course backward, not through Jodie Foster's life, but to like 1987 era moonlighting, if you want.
Oh, what? Wow. Okay, mind blown. Okay, so that's even just blows my mind more. I'm going to watch it again right after we're done with this. All right. Recording. So here's the deal. That's just and again, I don't mean to just spend so much time on an appearance, but the way she is presented, I'm all in just because I want to watch her for 2 hours. Absolutely. Second thing, huge fan of Tahar Rahim. He played the main character in The Looming Tower, which incidentally is another 9/11 sort of miniseries on Hulu with Jeff Daniels. Is fantastic, and it's mainly fantastic because of him.
Thank you. When I was looking, I was trying to figure out where did I see him from, but thank you.
Fantastic. This one, I think it's got a lot of promise. I don't know where it's going to drop. Frankly, I don't know who's behind it. It looks like February 19th in the U.S., but there isn't an obvious Netflix, Amazon connection to it that I can find, unless you guys have something else.
Maybe HBO Max will swoop it up.
Probably HBO Max.
Or Netflix. Netflix or HBO.
Somebody's going to buy it. Somebody's going to take it. Maybe Apple TV Plus.
I was just going to say, this would fit right in their portfolio.
It sure would. Anyway, that's what I got. And now we got to talk about Guns Akimbo.
Oh, So I just want to say something here. We're gonna go on a list, right?
Yeah,
we're doing a list. I just want to say this. So, our theme is, what is it? Double fisted.
Double wielding. Double wielding. Double wielding guns.
That was that's no. I had it as something different.
Okay,
what did you have?
Are
we all doing different lists?
Double fisted gunplay.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah.
Okay, but no. This is my point. Is I would not recommend anybody Google the word double fisted because it was wrong.
No. Yeah. Rob,
you had to Google it to know that.
Okay, listen. because hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not a rube. Okay. The thing is, when you do our research for stuff like this,
all appearances otherwise.
Appearances total rube. But okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm doing my research, and you're trying to whenever the theme is find these movies. So you try to type in this stuff. Well, first of all, don't Google double fisted anything. But even then, when you try to find guy with two guns, you only keep getting the stuff for the movie called Two Guns.
Two Guns.
So
Terrible.
I struggled, but I got there.
Oh, good.
Well, I did a different Google search and found many options. I just said an actor using two guns.
Oh, I did that too, and then it came back with more double-fisted stuff.
You get lists of other things, but yeah.
So why are we talking about that? This was based off of, I don't even remember where we are in our series. This is because we've got Underworld, right? We're starting Underworld, and Celine uses two guns all the time. She just is a two-gun maniac. And of course, in this movie, we have the legendary sequence where she has her two guns and she shoots the floor around her and falls through the floor to the story below, which Mythbusters has roundly decimated that wonderful effect. It lives on in infamy. Also, the other thing you might find on YouTube if you start searching around for dual-wielding guns are tactical experts demonstrating how stupid this is. That it's impossible to do reliably, and you're better off with one gun, one gun, and learn to shoot it very fast. So we're in the world of grand fantasy, and it's still amazing. And with that, Ocean.
I'm up. So I did not agree with the experts, and I was like, no, there are times in life where two guns are necessary. And one gun will not do. And so there is a movie that depicts to me one of these situations. And so imagine, if you will, that you are a Miami narcotics officer, and currently you and your partner are working undercover to infiltrate a group of KKK members bringing ecstasy into your city. And you and your partner go to a KKK meeting that is a front for a drug drop. And in the middle of the meeting, you rip off your robes that you've been wearing. You reveal that not only are you cops, but also you're black. And I'm talking about Mike Lowry, Marcus Burnett in the middle of in Bad Boys 2. It's the opening sequence, and then in the middle of the gunfight, Mike needs 2 guns for this. The entire sequence, he not only does it where he has it akimbo out in the cross position shooting people, he shoots the 2 guns forward. He does the Mel Gibson, I'm gonna roll on the floor and shoot both guns at people. So it's 2 guns everywhere, and
it is
he
so
does
many
it
2
again
guns
in this movie as an encore when they're fighting Haitians.
I love it so much that you picked that movie, because the one joke that none of us made, and I'm really ashamed of both of you for not doing it, is that Bad Boys for Life is going to clean up at this live in-person Oscar ceremony next year.
It's movie of 2020. It's movie of 2020.
That is a great pick.
That right there tells you why it's not going to clean up at the Oscars, because people have watched Bad Boys for Life. The Oscars does not give credit to movies that people see.
But it's the only movie, Ocean. Geez. When there is an only movie, isn't there some sort of corollary to that position? I don't know.
You would think, but it's the Oscars. I ultimately believe they will find some movie that 3 people have watched and give it 5 awards.
Oh boy.
You're tough, audience, man. Tough. All right, Rob, what do you got?
Okay, now a little preface with something. There's a clear movie here that I could have brought this movie in, but I didn't, because it has been mentioned before on SatMat, and I'm going to wait until the end, because it's the only movie you have to think of when you think of 2 guns, 1 person. Anyway,
you mean every John Woo movie?
Well, I mean, that's on my list later, but we'll get to that. We'll see if it doesn't get stolen. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go with an interesting Sam Raimi 1995 American Western, The Quick and the Dead. And whose character am I talking about? That's right, Leonardo DiCaprio, the kid. He's got his 2 guns. He loses to his dad, supposedly, but who knows? If you haven't seen this movie, please run and see it.
He wasn't quick enough.
He wasn't quick enough.
Come back. He's going to train more.
The best part is, okay, if you know this movie this is Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman. This movie is ridiculous. It's like Russell Crowe's first American.
Doesn't Russell Crowe do some double wielding too?
He does. Russell Crowe also in that movie does Guns Akimbo.
Oh yeah. No, he's got it. Mm-hmm. The Gary Sinise is in it in like a flashback. Which, if you know the whole story, it's ridiculous. I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
I do too. It's been way too long since I've seen that movie, I feel like I need to catch it again.
Henriksen's in it.
Lance Henriksen, right?
There's a lot going on in that movie.
Oh man, Lance Henriksen. All right. Yeah. Well, I got a movie. It's all right. So you get into this territory with these movies that sometimes you watch them, and when you're searching for them specifically for gunplay, the gunplay is exceptional, and also the movie less so, right? And so I would like to open my bidding tonight with a movie that tries so hard to do so much and achieves only one thing, and that is Gun Kata. The movie I'm talking about, of course, Equilibrium from 2002, starring written and directed by Kurt Wimmer, starring, bizarrely, Christian Bale, Sean Bean, and Emily Watson. If you have not seen this movie, you must go watch the extended. There are many, many clips and things on there. Dominic Purcell in this movie, Prison Break alum, where the whole concept is that Christian Bale is this martial arts master, and the martial arts is gun kata. It's like what gym kata is. Gymnastics is to martial arts, and gym kata is guns, but gun kata, and he has 2 guns.
That's not really selling it.
It's just so much martial arts shooting in the face, in and around the head.
To see a clip because
it's so amazing. It's amazing. And it's so good. It's not just shooting with the guns. There are sequences where the guns have extra parts to them that like pop and snap out and become martial arts tools, like where he actually is beating people in ways that you can only beat people with martial arts. But the best part of this movie is that if you don't study this movie for the number of things you can store up your sleeves, you are missing the point. This he not only does he reload his guns, he'll like turn his wrist down and clips will come out from his sleeves. There are sequences where whole 45s will shoot out of his sleeves and into his fists, and the gun kata will begin. This movie is ridiculous, and everyone should see it.
Okay, and just to add, you want me to just add the little bit of icing to the top of that?
Please.
It's when you say Christian Bale and everyone goes, wait, Christian Bale's in this. Yeah, but wait, it's not Christian Bale like what you think. Yeah. It's not Batman Christian Bale. It's American Psycho Christian Bale.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
It is.
Like,
yes.
What?
Yeah. I sort of can't believe I'm third and didn't get this stolen already, because it is the movie. Like, there is not a character that isn't holding two guns, even if they're not even shooty characters. Like, they're just, everybody has guns.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
what do you got?
I now have some homework. Okay, so
don't pay whatever you do. Don't pay to see it. just if all you do is clips, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, Ocean. What do you got?
So, okay. So, in keeping with the theme of when two guns are necessary. So imagine, if you will, that you've been a backstabbing weasel your entire life. You've rose into some positions of power, but even when you got there, you let bad things happen to your people who you were supposed to be protecting and looking out for. And you've looked the other way for so long that your world and your way of life are now on the brink of destruction. And you find yourself huddled in the last ship that is trying to finally escape into another world to escape from the murdering hordes that are killing everyone in your world. And now they are coming to you. They see your ship. They're coming. They're about to come on board, and they're going to kill everybody. But then you remember that you have two guns. One of them is named Des. The other one is named Troy. And you know what you have to do. Destroy. And that movie is Thor Ragnarok. The actor is Carl Urban playing Scourge.
Unbelievable.
And during his one redeeming scene in the entire movie at the
You're
end,
absolutely right.
He gets some of the best two machine gun sequences you will ever see. Where he is just it's great and it's amazing. So I submit that most people probably have seen Thor Ragnarok, but if you have, this scene is worth watching again, and if you haven't, it's worth watching really just for this scene. I mean, there's a lot of great in Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is great in a lot of ways.
It's a great movie. It's really amazing. Fun, but this scene is sets a high bar.
It does.
I almost can't get words out of my mouth because of the brilliance of that pick. and didn't see that coming at all. Like, that wasn't even
I know the
radar.
lead up was so too good. Too good.
Thank you.
All right. So that means Rob.
Okay, so here's what's really...
Can you beat this? Because I actually have a backup two machine gun pick that I thought was going to be the cleanup pick but now Thor's been played, I can't even play it.
I'm going to switch gears because I had options in this, and this is going to be ridiculous, and I'm going to apologize in advance. So this,
as long as you feel bad about it.
Oh yeah. Oh well, no.
That's what counts.
I'm going to get it. Here it comes. Because what my next pick is, it's a movie that's inside another movie. What am I talking about?
Oh, look at you.
Because think about this. What about the horror if the Earth stopped to rotate? What if we needed one man to make a difference again? And that man is Tug Speedman. I'm talking about Scorcher 6 Global Meltdown, which is inside
the movie inside
of Tropic Thunder. Which also does have a double gun.
that was my pick. That was my pick because it's the trench coat when he comes out. When you need more DACA.
Well, you almost still get that because I was a little worried. I'm like, I know Tropic Thunder, right? But I'm like, but Scorcher 6, no issues with Scorcher 6.
Yeah.
Tug Speedman's got the kids. He doesn't just have two guns. He's got two babies.
He's got two babies. He does.
Oh boy.
Okay, that's so good. All right, I actually need to do. I should have done a search. I didn't of just how many of these movies there are. I'm doing one that is an unnamed number in the series. I've watched them all. I've played all the games, and the one I am choosing is written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. And do you know it? Is there a look of recognition? Let's just say what happened in his, what else has he done in his career as a director? Well, he's done Mortal Kombat. Yeah. He's done Event Horizon, Soldier,
oh my God,
Alien versus Predator, and he had already done two movies in this series by the time he truly mastered the craft with Resident Evil Retribution. That's right. This is the story that I wanted all along, because we meet Ada Wong, who is the red dressed character played by Li Bingbing, who is amazing. The whole movie is just it's just one consistent zombie firefight. It's fantastic. It's Mila Jovovich's gravy train. She's awesome in it. Michelle Rodriguez is great. She's always great. It's crazy, this movie. It's crazy that this series is what it is. Guilty pleasure it.
Sure,
whatever.
Sure.
I'm fine. They're amazing. I love all of Resident Evil stuff, but I'm also a zombie fanatic.
Yes.
And so zombies and diseases run amok. You're right in my corner.
You get this one. So, because these movies are, I find them to be amazing guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the 2012 entry, Resident Evil Retribution.
And this is the 5th.
Surprising everybody. Right? This movie's never been picked.
Oh, no. Have any of them? No Resident Evils at all?
I don't think so.
Yeah, all right.
Nope. All right. Ocean, back to you.
Oh, back to me. Okay, so this one was my, obviously, third choice. It is not as prevalent as the other ones. And I was also surprised that it had not been picked before now. So basically then, in keeping with the theme of times in which two guns are necessary. So imagine, if you will, that you live in a universe where robots have been helpmates to peoples for many years, but you still don't trust them. And at long last, they have started to take over the city by rounding people up and imposing a curfew. You spring into action and decide that you need to stop this. And while riding your motorcycle to get to the robot's central intelligence and stop these atrocities, you see your ne'er-do-well friend being accosted by a robot.
Bicentennial
Naturally,
Man?
the most logical thing you do at this point is stop and save him. So what do? You ride your bike toward him, and you jump it high in the air off a very convenient staircase ramp. And while in midair, it's now time to pull out the two guns you have in your coat. Raise up, let go of the handlebars, stand up, and let your two guns fly, shooting the robot in the head multiple times. While your motorcycle careens and takes out some other robots, you of course land on the top of a conveniently placed car, do a superhero roll, get up, and continue blasting robots until there's no one around you with both of your guns. And in this movie is iRobot.
Okay, I was going to land on iRobot. I didn't. I didn't quite have it. I didn't quite have it. I was really hoping it was Bicentennial Man.
Jeez. And this is the one scene in which I without planning it, picked Will Smith twice. It is the one scene in there where Will Smith uses two guns for no real apparent reason to kill a bunch of robots. Other than that, he stays monogamous and has one gun.
He has one gun. Monogamous. That's an outstanding pick and another guilty pleasure for me. I know a lot of people don't like that movie very much.
No,
I'm one of the people who really likes it.
No, I really like the movie. It's great. I mean, the scene I described is as ridiculous as I'm describing it. But the movie it's very entertaining. Has actually good themes and good ideas and a good performance, not only by Will Smith. The friend that does it is an early Shia LaBeouf. It is a fun movie to watch, and it has a few really good ideas, and it has I am blanking on the great character actor, the guy that played the the doctor that died.
Isn't that Max von Sydow? Was they no, he's not.
He was also in Star Trek Generations. I'm looking up right now because he's great.
Caligula.
James Cromwell.
Oh, James Cromwell.
James Cromwell. That's not who I was thinking of.
With Malcolm.
Yeah, you're right. James Cromwell was in it. Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell.
That's who I was thinking of.
That's right. I was thinking. Sorry, I was Star Trek: First Contact, which was the only Generations movie really worth watching. But yeah, so it was. Cromwell was in that. He was gret. But yeah, James Cromwell.
Nobody really made any comments about my Malcolm McDowell impression, which I think was spot on.
I got confused. Well, I mean, what's an episode if you can't say Caligula once? I mean, come on.
That's right. Anybody hungry? All right. Rob, what do you got? What's your next pick?
Okay, so I had a couple options. The one I want to, it's been picked, but this one, I was amazed this was not, at least I could not see it. Maybe I got the hyphen wrong. John Woo. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about John Travolta. I'm talking about Nick Cage. Face Off.
Yeah.
Face Off is it a guilty pleasure?
No, Face Off is an amazing movie.
Yeah. It's beyond that.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Face Off
you're
is
making
amazing.
me really question
movie.
my reality a little bit because it's been A, so long since I've seen it, and B, really? I think I remember liking it, but I don't remember if I should. I guess that's a definition of a guilty pleasure.
There are people that would consider that a guilty pleasure, but no, it is a very entertaining, fun movie. Lots of great action sequences. The story, while I don't know that it holds up as much as it was very interesting at that time.
Right.
The concept of the whole, like, they're taking their faces off and having them trade and having it where you have two actors, one who's playing, they're both playing the hero and the villain. I'm sorry, I'm just still I'm raving about your movie.
Oh, no.
Shut up now. But yeah, when they both play the hero and villain, it's a great movie.
No, this is part of those 90s movies. I always put this one with Rising Sun. These movies that, you know what I mean? Took technology of the time and said, okay, let's just blow it up and let's go crazy and not worry about whether or not it's plausible. Let's just go crazy with the performances. The thing about this movie is you just got to see Nick Cage and John Travolta have a blast because they're playing each other and they're playing caricatures of each other. And honestly, it's amusing because of that. And there's action sequences and there's a ridiculous gunfight in a church that's absurd with doves and all of it. The killer, it's the whole thing.
I think both of those movies, at the end, you actually can say, wait, she's married to him?
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's
all right.
Anyway.
That's an awesome pick. I'm gonna, you know what? We have talked about it. We've talked about talking about it, and it's been so long. I think I have been the spoiler, so we might just have to do a crazy Travolta performances series.
That's on there.
Yeah, a lot of material.
A lot of material.
That's
I got one more pick. And as much as I was looking for a Sybil Shepherd opportunity to drop here just at the very last minute, I'm going to go with my original pick. And it's honestly, it's the first one I thought of. It is a film from 1969 because you haven't dual wielded until you have mastered John Wayne dual wielding in True Grit, where he's riding. No, stay with it. He's riding and he doesn't have enough hands. And so he rides the horse with the reins in his teeth. Are you with me? And he has a pistol in one hand and a lever action rifle in the other. Yeah. And he is shooting like a badass. And so I'll take, and he has one eye. I mean, come on with the True Grit. So
that's your depth perception.
Yeah, well, he's amazing because he's always drunk.
He's overcoming.
Yeah, he certainly is. So that's mine, True Grit, 1969, and there you have it, 9 films with some exceptional dual wielding of dubious quality.
I gotta say, that's a great pick at the end there. These are all great movies, and obviously, I just want to mention this because this is a pick that Ocean had earlier, a few months ago, I think. The number one movie, the first movie I thought of when I saw this topic was Desperado.
Yeah.
Because
he's always wielding two things.
I mean, that is the greatest double gun movie of all time. Yep. I just wanted to give it its due right there to remind people how awesome that movie is.
Go out and watch it.
No, there's some exceptional movies. And did you have any highlight films besides Desperado that you didn't get on your list? Any backups worth mentioning?
I had two. One that was a small scene that nobody thinks about, which was in Star Wars Attack of the Clones, when Jango Fett is fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi when they're trying to get away. Jango Fett takes out two blasters and starts blasting him while rocketing up on the ship in the air. It's a great little sequence. And the second one I had, which I just left off because it was just so over the top ridiculous the way it's done, is in the opening sequence of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. With Tybalt, who's played by, I cannot believe I just blanked on his name, but he has two guns, and Ed Leguizamo. Ed Leguizamo has two guns, and it's the opening sequence when they're at the gas station, and he's talking, and he comes out, of course, logically at a gas station, he's smoking a cigarette, and then puts it out on the ground, and then he starts he kicks off a gunfight with two guns, and he only really shoots once, but it was just ridiculous, and it was fun.
That's a great pick. I think it's uncharacteristic backup choice for you, Ocean. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet is one of the greatest stories ever written.
Wow.
You're not going to get an argument from me.
Yeah,
it's just
I love that story in so many ways. Not only do I love it the way it's done in the Baz Luhrmann version of it.
Yeah.
I love the old movie, which isn't even any good, and I love that. And then I love Shakespeare in Love, which is a movie where they're just talking about making Romeo and Juliet. And
right.
Romeo and Juliet is the greatest story.
You, Ocean, you're such a soft.
I did not know that.
It's a wonderful love story where they die in the end. I mean, isn't that love?
We live for this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just had I had Equilibrium and I had Tombstone just in case I had to pull it out, but I
was just gonna say Tombstone. You called down thunder and now you've got it. I'm a United States Marshal. But Doc Holliday, man, are you going to skin that smoke wagon? You're just going to stand there and bleed. Oh, that was Val Kilmer, though, wasn't it?
Wait, no, that's Val
Kilmer. I got two guns,
right?
One for each.
Wait, and by the way,
for each of you.
Hold on a second. You want to come full circle on this on this episode?
Yeah,
I just realized Michael Biehn, who was in the episode of The Mandalorian that we just talked about.
Yes,
I forgot that he's in Tombstone.
He's in Tombstone.
Yes. Look at what you just did there.
He's Ringo.
Yeah,
right, he's Ringo. Yeah, at the end with Doc Holliday. It's a big duel. So yeah.
The only other one I had on my list was Grosse Point Blank because John Cusack and Dan Aykroyd both have two guns, but I think we picked Grosse Point Blank before a lot, and so I didn't pick it, but it was a good backup. That was great. Now, what do we have coming up? So now we're in it. We're in Underworld. And so we've got the Underworld Evolution is number 2 in our Underworld series. Welcome to Underworldia, the universe of Underworld we have named Underworldia. And now we need to come up with 3 choices. I like the way I like to run this is we each get one off of the list of predefined choices. If you have other choices or variants you would like to play, you get it. That's fine. You can submit, but we each get one, and then we get to live with it and see what happens.
All right.
So
obviously, who's going to go first?
Well, let me just run down the list here and just see what strikes you. See if it goes anywhere cool. Obviously, vampires. Believe me, that's going to stay on the list until somebody picks it over the next 4 weeks. Werewolves, same thing. We have battling sort of baddies. I'm not even sure how we want to characterize who the baddies are in that scenario. Like, if you want to be real specific, I don't know. But vampires versus werewolves, we could have someone versus someone. Like Face Off is actually a really great example, I would think, of this movie. Supernatural creatures in a modern city. A modern sort of landscape. Awesome hero outfits. Do you have anybody in mind who can best a straight up 100% uniform of PVC? People who transform into something else. Could be anything. They just change into something else. Immortals, movies about immortals. People who secretly hunt supernatural creatures. That's mysterious father figures, mysterious fathers. Exile, characters who are in exile. Arms traders, lots of good material for that. And of course, fan favorite, gruesomely awesome deaths.
That's that one. That one right there. Yeah.
Oh, He's got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that? I mean, I read the list and my eyes just went, "Oh, that one."
It just went straight down.
I can't. Yeah.
All right, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
What do you got?
I like Mysterious Fathers.
Oh, okay.
I think you can go a lot of different directions with that.
Mysterious Fathers. And I am never one to shy away from a list that brings up great architecture, supernatural creatures in a modern city.
Oh,
I know. It's weird. That's our list.
That's a nice list.
Look at how easy that was. Yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And let me tell you, where do you guys stand on Underworld? Just a brief deal. Are you Underworldians?
No.
I enjoyed the movies, but I enjoyed them as kind of the popcorn entertainment that they were. Right?
Oh, they still are.
Yeah. So I watched them. I enjoyed it at the time, and then about 2 hours later, I was like, I knew I saw it, but
yeah. There are some things in these movies that they do exceptionally well, and as a whole, you're exactly right. It is what it is. We're having a lot of fun, especially with the discussion around how this movie attempts to break lore and try and put it back together in a way that is at all memorable, and where they succeed and where they didn't. I mean, there are things that I surprise myself that, I think I learned that about vampires from these movies, and there's no place else that exists.
Wait, so there's 5 of these?
Yeah.
What? Okay, I got to get in on this. Yeah, I have not.
Yeah.
I was aware of it. I did not realize the extent.
You haven't seen any of them?
No. I don't
know. They're entertaining.
Yeah.
They're great, entertaining popcorn.
I watched a couple of the trailers, because I wanted to. Yeah, right. But no, I haven't. These just got missed when I. Yeah.
They try to be serious, and they're not. And the quicker you come around to that, this is not a serious movie, the more fun it is.
Oh, that's all right. Sold.
Let me tell you, I imagine this is what it's like if you're watching an American soap opera in Mexico, for example, right? You'll have subtitles on in the mouths one where if there's a Spanish language, any other language track, watch it in that language. You'll get the story because it's a soap opera.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
I've never thought of doing that. Now I'm gonna have to go watch the first one again that way. That sounds great.
It's worth it. Totally worth it. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody, for hanging out with me and Ocean and Rob. We sure appreciate you for doing that. Do you want to vote on next week's challenge? Because we would love to have you vote on next week's challenge. You just have to head over to the Show Talk channel in the Next Reel Discord server, and you can lend your vote to the chaos that is list picking. How do you get into the Show Talk? It's so easy. Just head over to thenextreel.com/membership, and it'll take you over to our membership page where you can become a supporter of the Next Reel family of podcasts for as little as $1 a month. Oh, so cheap. You can become a one-reeler, join our online community, and get access to that Show Talk channel. For a few dollars more, you can become a two-reeler and get in on our show live streams. As we record them, you get early and ad-free access to all of our shows in your very own personal podcast feed. And you can access the super secret member channels in Discord. Plus, you can now support with a single annual donation as well. Thank you all who've joined us. To all of you who are checking us out, your support helps to keep us producing and growing the Next Reel family of podcasts at True Story FM. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.